All right, so one of the things that we want to stress about the CGS Medical Billing and Coding program is that studying for class is extremely important. Although we have a blended program, meaning we meet together once per week to get lectures and to answer questions, we still expect you to study the information prior to coming to class. But sometimes people do not really understand what we mean by studying. So that's the purpose of our discussion today. So let's discuss fruit first. And I know that kind of strange to go from studying to fruit. But when you are in the market and you are purchasing fruit for yourself or for your family members, perhaps you're going to make some type of dessert, what do you look for in the fruit? Do you just pick up anything, even if it's rotten, even if you can clearly see mold? Often with strawberries, if you turn the container over, you see mold at the bottom. That's not the container of strawberries that you want to purchase. So how do you evaluate fruit? Think about that for a moment. Do you smell it? Do you taste it? I have seen people do that in the grocery store. Do you squeeze it? What do you do? And what is the reason that you do those things? Well, most of the time, people are picky about their fruit because they're trying to be healthy, they're trying to be stronger, or they want to live longer. And they recognize that choosing the right type of fruit and vegetables and eating well, doing those things and being particular about it will help them to live for a very long time. Well, we can kind of equate picking the right fruits and vegetables to picking the way we're going to study. If you study any type of way, you don't care, you're just looking at the page, you're really not feeding your mind. And for the national exam offered through the AAPC, you really need a good, strong mind. You need to be able to read information quickly and process it. So the only way that you're going to be successful is if you know how to study. So what is studying? Well, studying, according to the slide, is more than superficial reading. So superficial is on the surface. So we need to get beneath the surface. It involves using your mental faculties in careful or extended consideration of a subject. That means you would need to analyze, you would need to compare what you already know, and also you would like to take what you know and analyze this new information that you're receiving. You need to think deeply on new ideas, and there will be a lot of new ideas in this program. You also should think about when you're going to use the information, and take time to meditate. Now, when we use the word meditate, we're not referring to chanting or saying a thing over and over again. With meditation, we're asking you to talk to yourself about the information. Can you explain the information that you are reading to yourself? So, again, we want to emphasize that studying for this exam is not superficial reading that we're asking for. We're asking for you to think about the material, explain it to yourself, share it with others, and this way it will be in your mind. Now, you also want to be in the right frame of mind when you're studying. If possible, have a quiet study area. Some of us have learned to multitask and zone out certain sounds. But if at all possible, why not have a quiet study area? Why not turn the TV off? Why not let the cell phone be on silent and out of sight? Why not put your problems to the side? Now, when we talk about putting your problems to the side later, there's a tip in this slide. And one of the things it suggests is that while you're studying, if a problem comes to your mind, write that problem down. It doesn't even have to be a problem. Maybe you need to remember to get mayonnaise, or maybe you want to wash a load of clothes. Maybe you need to pay a bill. Write it down so you're acknowledging, telling your brain, I hear you, and I acknowledge your concern. Now, you also need to study when you have energy, not when you are exhausted. One thing we want to make sure we do is preview the material. A lot of people go directly to reading their information. They do not take time to preview the material. So they just start reading right away. And we really discourage this in our classroom. So we want to preview. We also want to review the title of the chapter. We want to review subheadings, review photos, review terms that we see. We also want to look up the actual code examples provided. And there, again, after we've meditated, we want to explain it to someone. So let me bring the textbook over. One of the textbooks that you are reading here is the Language of Medicine. My students, we love the Language of Medicine. We love the author very much. She's done a good job. So we're not trying to, just give me one moment. We're not trying to put up the book online, but we just want to show what we mean by review and preview. So you can actually use this with any publication. So you should see this is chapter 1, and it's entitled Basic Word Structure. And so what we want to do is actually look at the information that will be covered. We're able to see that in chapter 1, it is entitled Basic Word Structure. So this means that we are going to learn the basics, because it says basic word. And then it says we're going to learn the structure of those words. Well, what does that include? Well, if we continue looking down here, what we're going to see is that includes analysis of words, objectives and analysis, and even some terminology. And there will be some exercises and a review sheet. Okay, so now that we've looked at that, can we go ahead and read the chapter? No, because after we review the title, we now need to review the subheading. This subheading is Objectives in Studying the Medical Language. So we're going to learn the reason why we want to learn the medical language. This subheading says Word Analysis. So you will be learning to analyze words. Is there more subheadings? Let's see. I may have skipped one, but I think you get the point. So now, after we verify this one, to verify, I don't think there are any more subheadings. So we have reviewed the title of the chapter. We have reviewed the subheading. The next thing you're supposed to review will be any photos. So let's go back through. We'll take a look at the pictures. And notice the author is expressing to you that there are 2 aliens. So this is something you want to see, you want to take note of. Also, we have a structure here. It's labeled the male urinary tract. She's showing you the difference between the word urethra and ureters. Okay? So as you go through, you want to take your time noticing all your charts, your photos. Here is a carcinoma. Oma is tumor. In this case, this is a basal cell carcinoma. We have a figure of the cerebrum. We also see a hematoma. Hemat is blood, oma is tumor. So this is a tumor of blood here in the finger, but we can also have a hematoma on the brain. Okay, so I think you get the point. We have a sarcoma. So after you review all of the photos, then what? Well, after reviewing your photos, you will start over again. This time you want to pay attention to the charts, such as this one, looking at the combining forms, the meaning, and the terminology. Now, if this were a coding publication with the medical coding, you would also need to look at the codes in the examples. And after you complete this chapter, you would need to be able not only to explain it to yourself, but be able to explain it to someone else. So now all of this is done. All the preview and review and looking at the charts, the pictures, and the medical terminology, you do all of that before you come back and say, now I'm going to read chapter 1. And consider reading out loud because you will see the information and you will also hear the information. All right, so preview your material. Review the title. Review subheadings. Review photos. Review medical terms. If you're doing coding, look up code examples. Don't forget to explain it to someone. So here is a question that you might see in one of your textbooks at the end of the chapter. What we want you to do is read the questions at the end of the chapter prior to actually reading. So if you read the questions first, for example, blepharoplasty is performed on which part of the body, prior to reading the chapter, you may not know the answer. But after reading the chapter, if you happen to see blepharoplasty while you're reading the chapter, you can highlight that in the reading because you have just found the answers to one of your homework questions. And if you did not know, even after you've done the reading, visual aids are very helpful. So if you Google images of a blepharoplasty, different eyelids will come up. And so you will see that, oh, a blepharoplasty has to do with the eye, so the answer must be eyelid. Reading information to understand. This is a paragraph taken from one of the AAPC's books that we use. And it's posted here just as a demonstration. This was actually one paragraph. Outpatient and inpatient was all one paragraph. But I inserted my own color because, why? Well, let me tell you. The title of the subheading said the difference between hospital and physician services. Well, I could not see the difference because all of this was in one paragraph. So by using my highlighter, I'm able to see, oh, this is outpatient, which is physician, mostly physician services. Inpatient would be the hospital services. And I'm clearly now able to distinguish the difference because I use highlights to separate the two. Here is another sample of information that we would use. So the AAPC may give you a case, and I will give you cases that are from different sources, including AAPC. We all know when we're coding anesthesia, there are several things. We have to know which modifiers, we have to worry about the time, we have to worry about physical status. And the general coding rule is we do not code the preoperative diagnosis, we only code the postoperative diagnosis. And also we do need to know the name of the procedure. So you can see how I use highlight to help me with some of the information. And again, this is not posted for us to actually code, but just for you to see that, okay, this is a way for me to read my case and highlight only the information that I need. Because as a coder, if you're doing anesthesia, you need to know who performed the anesthesia. So if it was the anesthesiologist, you know it would be modifier AA. We also know that anesthesia time matters. Surgery time does not matter, but the anesthesia time does. So that is something that we would highlight. We also know we need physical status modifiers. In this case, it was a P2. And then again, post-operative diagnoses are not used because it is before the surgery was done. It doesn't matter to us what happened before the surgery. It is what the doctor found when he did the surgery. So here he suspected prostate cancer. We do not code suspected diagnosis in outpatient coding. But post-operative, which we do code, he said it was definitely prostate carcinoma. So if you would take a look at the next section of the procedure, the physician told us that it was a radical retropubic prostatectomy. Radical meaning everything was removed, including lymph nodes. And we know there was general anesthesia. So when we coded this procedure, it was easy because we found all the information that we need and we highlighted it. Sometimes in the reading, there will be practical coding notes. For example, it may be the calculation of anesthesia time, how to calculate that. That is something that you should put in your CPT code book because that will help you going forward. Everything is not in your coding manuals, and you will be asked to put things in your coding manual. So sometimes in this program, even with all the studying and reading that we have to do, you will feel challenged. And sometimes people do want to give up. And here's the thing, we understand, there's life issues that are involved, and it makes it hard for us to complete what we started. But hey, nothing will ever change if we don't change. We can't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. But when you feel challenged, think about your family, your household. Realize that people in your family are watching you. So if you give up easily, you can't get upset if your kids give up easily. If you study with the TV on, then you can't expect your kids not to study with the TV on. So really, everything that you're doing, people don't necessarily say, hey, I'm watching you, but they're watching you, and they watch how you carry yourself. So make sure that you keep that in mind. And think again of how completing the class and getting your certification is going to help the family. It doesn't matter if you're a family of 4 or you're a family of 1. How will having the certification help you? So once you get through the material and you are able to pass your next exam, now you're able to start looking for work, then that is one of the things that will give you the courage to keep going and give you the desire to keep going. So as you face challenges, you may need more time, and this class is, as I stated, very challenging. So why not keep a to-do list? Some people do need action plans, but I only use those for really large projects. But if you need an action plan, that would not only be that you need to do it, but how it's going to get done. Make sure if you put something on one calendar, you put it on all calendars. Put your most important task first. Another important one is that you're not going to have time for everything that you do. So there will be some weeks that you don't get things done, and we'll try to work with that. Do things when you have the energy. Realize that there are going to be unexpected things, so you need to make time for that, and do your work like a professional. Also, as a reminder, write down your problems while you're studying. In this program, you cannot be a perfectionist. If you were an A student in college or in high school, you may become a C student in here initially because coding is a special thing. So if you are expecting to be a straight A student, you may defeat yourself. So please don't be a perfectionist. Be willing to adjust. Sometimes we have to ask for changes in the schedule, or you need to adjust your life so that you can fit the study time in. And we just want to remind you to take time for yourself at times during the program. Sometimes you do need to just rest. So what are the rewards? Well, again, those people watching you are really going to see the good example that you set. Your life will be affected by how well you study, and you have that feeling of accomplishment, especially when you pass and get that first job in the industry. So just like you picked out, really good fruit for yourself, for your family, so that you could be physically healthy and fit, the way you study is going to contribute to your health mentally, and that you will feel accomplished physically and that you're able to take care of yourself. And then also the good effects that it's going to have on those people who are watching you. So I just want to remind you that my expectations are that you study, and that you study and you study well. We want you to study and study well. So hopefully this will help you on your road to success. And if you need me, you know that the simple email, text message is what you need to send. All right. Have a good day.